Hi, I'm Melanie Herman,
And I'm Nick Herman.
and we're here with part 3 of It's Never Too Late to Change Your Brain with special guest Mike Budge. Nick will be signing out again, and we'll welcome Mike. Sorry, I'm zipping through our PowerPoint. In the previous two podcasts, we heard Mike's story from his elementary days as a 6-year-old entering kindergarten and recognizing that things were difficult there early on, through his junior high days when he served in student body offices, which caused him anxiety, but because he was so kind and understanding of people, he had many friends. Senior class president at Skyview High School, member of the football and the basketball team. He told us about his adult years, his experience as a missionary, and now his family, his posterity we've heard about, and a little bit about his years as a business owner and a salesman. And now we're just going to take this short segment for Mike to be able to share some of the things that we've been doing, and get his opinion and his thoughts on what he feels has been effective and that seems to be helping. So it's always nice to have a first-hand experience from someone who's experiencing the different interventions. And like I was reminded, I got an email from Norman Deutsch last night, and I was reminded in that email that no two brains are the same. And you know, with Nick and our family's journey with neuroplasticity and different interventions, we found some that have been very powerful and some that have been good, but not as, you know, miraculous maybe. But there are, and that's why we just keep trying, exploring, and investigating new neuroplastic interventions. And so, because no two brains are the same, everybody's going to have a bit of their own experience, but it's something that we just keep seeking for more. I mean, you progress and you just want more.
Right.
So we're going to talk about some of the things we're doing and Mike's doing. Okay, so first of all, the reason that I started training and meeting with Mike regularly was because he wanted to try the Processing and Cognitive Enhancement program. And this program, you might have heard of their franchise, which is called Learning RX, and you can go online and you know, put in learningrx.com and read all about their centers across the United States. Maybe I think they have some more outside of the United States also. Also, you can go on YouTube and you can put in Learning RX and you can view YouTube clips of people of all ages around the country who have participated in Learning RX, or the Processing and Cognitive Enhancement program. This program is for okay, this program is for we didn't purchase a franchise, but you can be certified to be a trainer, and so I did that back in 2011. And so I talked to Mike 2 years ago when he first contacted me about some different approaches and different ways to move forward to help him. And his big concerns were, at the time, I think, were memory and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And our question was how to determine which to address first, because at the time I was also doing neurofeedback with people. I was doing processing cognitive enhancement, and we wanted the one that would be the best and the quickest help for Mike. And so after kind of going over the pluses of both, he decided to move forward with neurofeedback first, which in my opinion, not expert opinion, but my experience, reduces anxiety. But and that might be reducing the anxiety might improve the other processing, because what we learn and we know from the brain is when you have anxiety and you're releasing these chemicals, adrenaline and cortisone in your brain that are causing stress and inflammation, then it's difficult for you to remember and process information. So the more we can cut down anxiety, the better our brains work. Or, we also had to think about, could it possibly be that his anxiety was coming from the fact that he was struggling with memory? And at the time, we didn't know about the auditory problem, right? We hadn't done the testing and begun training to identify that it was probably auditory processing.
Yeah,
Problem.
find out that's probably the problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to say, where this podcast isn't about neurofeedback, we will do another one. Nick and I will do another podcast on neurofeedback in the near future. But is there, I don't know if you want to even comment on that, or if you just want to go on with PACE or.
No, I think, like I said, we tried that feedback, and it didn't seem quite, it helped a little bit on the anxiety, but there was something missing. There was something like the other people I've went to get some help from, there was something missing, in the background, and that was the auditory problem. Yeah. And, but once you presented me with this program and you tested me, we found out that it was an auditory problem. And I was kind of elated because all these years I've tried to find out what is wrong with me exactly. And I really feel that I found it, hooray. I found a problem I've dealt with for 60 years. 60 years.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, so Mike said the problem is auditory. When he first took the pre-assessment test that you take at the beginning of the program, you're tested with visual and auditory memory, and you're tested on visual processing and auditory processing, logic and reasoning, and processing speed. So those are some of the different cognitive areas that we test on. And it wasn't that, and Mike had some deficits in some of the areas. His biggest concern was memory at the time, and it did show that he had a deficit in auditory processing. But it really wasn't until we got into the PACE program and started doing the auditory activities and skills that it became very apparent that this was a problem. So we did get a little bit of a hint of that with his pre-assessment test, and then it was as we got into actually working with auditory processing and doing the skills and activities that became more apparent that was a problem. So Mike, what do you I don't know if you want to tell them about anything about your experience with PACE. When Mike comes, he was coming for an hour a day. He comes for an hour a day, and usually his morning before work, he comes, and it's an intensive hour of drills and skills. And what you start when we find a baseline where that's slightly above his comfort level, and is a little bit of stress, and then we work there until he succeeds at that level, and incrementally the skills in each of the cognitive areas gets more and more difficult, and you add more and more different activities and distractions that keep you focused and really work your brain. So in some of your activities, you're on about the trampoline or you're on the balance board and you're tossing a ball or beanbag back and forth, and he's doing auditory drills at the very same time. So a lot is going on.
Right. Yeah.
So do you have anything you want to share about that? He's also keeping a journal or a note or a list of things that he's noticed over the weeks, and he's signed up for the 12-week program. He's almost done. Right. But that you've noticed differently in your life since
it's changed big time, in some of the areas I was weak in, and my confidence level's better, and my thinking and my writing. Like I used to be a real sloppy writer, and I write pretty good now. So
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and one thing that I liked about the program was that you pushed me. Part of this problem is when you try something, you give up after there's a little anxiety or pain. Some of the things you try in life, you give up. And when Melanie would put me through these drills, she would really, I thought I had a football coach that was really hard pushing. She was really pushing. But she, when I wanted to quit, she wouldn't let me quit. And that's what made the difference. Normally I would give up on some of the things, but she pushed me hard. And that was what I liked about the program too. And then all the different programs were really good. One of them it made me feel really good about is when there's a memorization thing that she gives me she gives me 20 words like apple, pear, or different things like that. 20 of them, and she gives them to me in a couple of minutes, and I'm supposed to memorize those. And I was amazed at how quick I could memorize those. In fact, I showed my wife the other night. She was amazed at it. She wants to take the class now. So.
Mike can do a little training on her at home.
Yeah.
Teach her. It's using visualization skills to build to increase your memory and ability to remember things. Another thing that PACE uses to increase the processing speed and keep the focus is a metronome, and we adjust the metronome speed, and you have to do it in the rhythm with the metronome, which is another excellent thing for brain health, is rhythm and balance, and then we increase the speed, and it increases the processing, right. And it pushes you further and further and further, and just when you think you've arrived, there's something a little more difficult.
Right.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed in that night, Mike did write down a difference that he noticed was, do you care if I tell about the in church? How you said you were able to sit in church and just focus on the speaker.
Yeah. Tell that. Yeah.
I think this was so interesting. One thing that you noticed was that he could go to church and sit in sacrament meeting and listen to the speaker and focus on the message and what was being said without worrying or thinking about other things, other people, but just focusing on that. I thought that's a whole segment we could do on mindfulness and to be able to cut out things that are important at the time and focus on what's important. But we've been kind of boosting Mike's training with some other things that my experience with Mike wasn't like to say to prove that one program is better than another, but it's to get results, to get changes. And so Mike's been very eager to do some add-on things at home besides his hour a day with me. And so we'll just let him comment on some of these things. And Nick and I will be doing individual podcasts, short segments on each of these if you want to know a little bit more. But one of them is the Muse. It's a mini neurofeedback device that you put on your head, and you download an app on your iPhone or iPad, and you do mindfulness. You do this for calm and focus. So you learn to calm your brain and to focus on your breathing. And so Mike did purchase a Muse.
Yes, and when I was using that and seeing some success in relaxing, I've had in the past where people would give me music to listen to relax like this, but this is real-time feedback. This Muse right here, right when it's happening, you got feedback on your computer, which I never had before, where the music, you never knew if you was actually relaxed.
Right.
But this Muse works good that way. It gives you quick feedback. And all these little things, I kept wondering if she was making a big profit on all these things. You tell me no. No, but she was, I always teased her, but she was trying to help me on the different items there are to do that, and they work. They really work good, and I just like to teach you.
I don't have any relationship with Muse.
Okay, I'm just joking with
yeah,
her.
I know. Okay. But anyway, the Muse, it's exciting because I have been a neurofeedback clinician, and for a person to sign up for 20 sessions, for example, it was $1,700. And that's and coming twice a week to an office, and that's expensive for a lot of people and families. So how do you tell people about something like this and then think, they couldn't really afford it? But the Muse is something you can go online, choosemuse.com. You can purchase for, I don't know, how much was it, like $300, $270?
I can't remember now. I think it was about $290 or $3 or something.
Yeah, there was a coupon I think I sent to Mike. You can share, if you have it, you can share it with your friends. So you can send the code to your friends, and they can buy one for a discount. But anybody in the family can use it, and the app is free. And you hear water coming in on a beach, and you hear birds. When your brain has been calm and you're focused on your breathing, then the waves are calm, and you might hear a bird. A bird means that you've been focused and calm for a long period of time. But if you start to hear the waves get louder and hear the wind, then you know that your mind has wandered from your breathing. And so then you have to bring your brain back. And I have personal experience with this. I've been able to learn to focus on calming my heart rate using the Muse and the breathing. So I can slow my heart down now. Even when I don't have the Muse headband on, I can think, okay, I can do the breathing, and I can feel my heart slow down when I start to feel stressed. Anyway, so that's a Muse, and we can tell you about that more, but you can go to choosemuse.com and read about that and purchase one if you like. This is one that actually we do sell, Mike.
Right. Oh,
the
okay.
light therapy.
Okay, now.
And this was an exciting thing. We've done a whole podcast, too long, a 40-minute podcast on low-level light therapy. But Mike, we'll go ahead and if you want to hear about this, you can watch that podcast. But tell what you think of the lights, Mike.
When I first thought about it, I thought, this probably can't work. Just some lights flash, and I thought that was, it wouldn't work, and then I decided to buy one from you, and now I just every morning, every night I try it. I mean, I use it for about 15 minutes on each parts of my head, and it makes me feel better. It not only there's some heat, to it, but I'll also just make sure, you'll talk about that later. I'm not going to go into that, but
Yes.
I just love mine. I won't give it away. Nobody can take that away from me.
We talked about this in our podcast, and our family is really using the lights a lot. And so I do some listening and some lights at night, 15 minutes a night before I go to sleep. You can do some meditation or praying, or you can listen to scriptures or whatever while you're just relaxing with the lights. My husband's using it for hair regrowth.
Okay.
And we're experiencing a lot of different things. My mother's using it for carpal tunnel pain, and one of my neurofeedback clients is using them. And I just really haven't heard anything negative about the lights, only positive. In the three things that really helps is, and we've talked about this with Mike, is reducing inflammation in your brain. Every time you have stress, you're releasing the adrenaline and the stress hormones, which causes inflammation. And when your brain is inflamed, it doesn't function as well. So it reduces inflammation, increases circulation, which we want for healing and for our brains, increase circulation to all areas of our brains. And then it also stimulates the mitochondria. But there's a long podcast on our YouTube channel, if you want to watch that.
Okay, the focus, the Brain HQ is a program I got online that she told me about. And that helps out a lot too. Like you say, there's a lot of things can help out. There's just not the PACE program with you. And I can do this at home.
Yeah.
And it makes it nice too. I can do it on my own.
Right.
You don't have to be here all the time. And that helps out a lot. It just challenges your brain. And she'll talk about it later. Yeah.
The thing about Brain HQ is also affordable for any family or individual. So I started out doing Brain HQ 3 or 4 months ago after I heard about it from Dale Hull at NeuroWorks. And Michael Merzenich, who's in Norman Doidge's books, he's the founder of Posit Science and of Brain HQ. And, you could think it's similar to an idea to luminosity. I love Brain HQ, though. You can buy a subscription. I think it's $8 a month. It ends up being $8 a month. And they track your progress on all the 25 different, I think it's 25, brain training exercises. Then Nick has purchased the actual subscription, so you can really go for quite a while on the free subscription, but then you can purchase the other, and you can get you can hone in on the very particular needs that you have. So Mike is doing, we do his auditory processing in our hour, but we're doing other things too. And so he can go home and work on Brain HQ, the app on his phone. He can do the auditory processing over and over. He can hear the sounds between g and duh in a drill, and he pushes the button, and I can't say enough about Brain HQ. It's cheap. It's amazing. You can improve improve social areas of your life, auditory, visual processing, driving skills and abilities, being a safer driver. And it's, they have programs for younger children. I think younger children could do this, but this is a program for adults and for the aging population too. So keeping your memory sharp as you get older. And I can tell too with the auditory activities that my auditory, I'm having a little bit of hard time in movies, I'll say, now I'll lean over and say, Dave, what did they say? Or what did I miss that conversation? And so I'm tuning up my auditory processing a little bit. But Brain HQ from Posit Science is amazing. So Mike's been doing that too.
They ought to have these in restaurants, I think.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, so there's a book called Soft Wired, written by Michael Merzenich, that talks about why these work, and I've ordered mine. I haven't read it yet, but I hope it gets here maybe today. Maybe today's the day. But again, they track your brain and your progress, and you can see what percentile you're in for people your age. Again, the activities get harder and harder. I know when Mike has done a few of these with me, you start out at the beginning of your auditory game, you're doing really, really well, and then they make it more and more difficult, and it's a little bit defeating because then the line moves backward,
right? And
they slow back down, and they emphasize the sound more until you get it again, and then you can do really, really well, but by the end of the short little exercise, you're falling back because it's gotten harder and harder, and you keep going back and forth. But what I've encouraged Mike to do is to never stop till he masters a level or earns another star. You don't give up. You never give up in a moment of defeat. You get the next star, or you reach the next level, and that's when you can move on to another activity. Because that's when the brain change happens, right at that point when you want to give up.
Right.
So, like Mike said, there will be more podcasts and information on more information coming in other podcasts on these interventions. But Mike, it's been so nice of you to share your life and your experiences over these 3 podcasts.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate your effort too.
So we'll say goodbye and have a wonderful day from Brain Change for You. It's Melanie Herman and
Mike Budge
signing out. Bye-bye.